This episode of Super Pulp Science is brought to you by Love Song, a film we hope we finished making this coming weekend.
Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. I'm here with my long-suffering co-host, Justin Curry, who is eyeing up the coffee that I brought him. Why are you being so suspicious, Justin?
It looks like it was written like while you were knife fighting or something.
Well, I was juggling 4 other drinks, and I wrote that with my left hand. So
All right.
How's that? I think it came out okay.
Turned out okay then.
It turned out okay. We are also here.
Why is Mike so much nicer? You scribbled out the messy one and wrote it.
Yeah, and
nicely.
It's got an exclamation point.
What is going on here?
Okay, one of you I clearly like more than the other. Dear listener, I'm going to let the man with the well-written name introduce himself. Who are you, sir?
Michael Sanders?
Are you sure?
Never.
Never sure. We're here to talk about a couple of things today, but in particular, I'll give Mike's been on the podcast before, but we will give him a brief introduction. You have been the DP on a feature-length horror movie.
Yes.
Yes. You write, produce,
DP,
and direct.
director of
photography, but
Yeah.
I prefer the term cinematographer.
Cinematographer. You were the
That does sound
cinematographer. You write, produce, and direct feature-length documentaries.
Yeah, I would never take a writing credit on a documentary. I have Mr. John Toon that will take writing credits on documentaries, but I'm not even a fan of. I'm always a bit confused when I see a writing credit on a documentary, just because my process, and this is going to make a lot of producers who are listening cringe, but my process on a documentary is often to shoot a whole ton of stuff, and then you have a general idea of what that story is, but you really find that story in the edit. It's not something you're going in with a script of.
So can I push back and say that you should take a writing credit? Because you're basically...
Well, that's in editing and directing. That's what I think is part of editing and directing.
If you make a collage, are you an artist?
Yeah, but you're not a writer.
No,
you're not an originator of those individual pieces of work. You're originating the orientation and maybe juxtaposition of that work. But if you're working...
According to whose intent?
According to your intent, but that I don't
So
believe...
if your intent is present, then you're the author of that work.
What you're arguing is that
credit.
you can write a collage.
You can.
What I'm saying is that you can direct and edit a collage.
All right.
But writing for me is that's going back to the source. Like you're sourcing something. If you're writing, you're
I would like to
as
point
close
out
to the source
to
as
all the dear
possible.
listeners that most people just accept the introduction as presented, and you have
I'm a
pushed back
stubborn,
on
yeah,
every...
well, yeah.
Dan is wondering if we've introduced Michael Sanders or Saunders. Which do you get the most?
I get Saunders. I've been Saunders since I was born, and there's no U in my last name. It's Sanders,
Right.
and so it's always since I had my name read in a classroom. It's been Saunders, and it's always shocked me that teachers couldn't read.
Okay, well, what else has shocked me is you also run a film and game studio, and despite having all of these things that are really your job that takes up all of your time, it should take up all of your time, you have endeavored to continue to shoot short films along the way.
Yeah, I think, yes. That's a...
You don't need to argue with that definition?
No, it's not as, it's like, short films for me are like probably what sketching is for you guys.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So you have a sketchbook
Yeah.
that you constantly work through and work in, and it probably doesn't... You don't think of it as an endeavor per se. It's just something.
Just something necessary.
Yeah, I'd like
to flex the muscles.
Like we haven't done a lot. We've done. We're about to shoot our third this coming weekend. And I mean, if you factor in some of the we've done a couple short docs and that kind of thing. But narrative-wise, this will be the third one that we've done as a company in this iteration of this company. And yeah, I just think it's important for a number of reasons. One, I really love working with all the people that we tend to get together to do these shorts. And it just feels like a little bit of a creative workout in a way on a small scale.
Okay, so small scale. Let's imagine that, Justin, that some of our dear listeners want to also make movies, because I know they do. What kind of questions, or no, let me put it another way. When you say small scale, what's a gear pack out? Like, let's get into the minutia of it.
Oh, well,
let's talk about the short film that you guys shot here last year for the 48-hour film festival. That would be a pretty small-scale project.
Yeah, that was pretty small scale.
Yeah.
I think the budget in cash was $500. And that went to pay for putting together a blood cannon and to fill it with bananas and oatmeal.
The remains
but PS are still on some of our
in
ceiling
the studio.
areas.
Still on the ceiling, yeah. Okay. Ooh, I see. There's a couple little drops right up there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, we did that for the 40-hour film fest, which was like a boot camp. You know, it's like the deadline is super tight, and you had to finish it within 48 hours.
So in 48 hours, lay out to people how many crew, what kind of
how many crew? I think
locations?
I would say we had 2 locations. We had
a driving shot.
Yeah, and then if you had a driving shot, maybe that's a third location. But we used the location we're sitting in now as 2 locations, right?
Yeah.
We did. Crew. I'd say we had 8 people.
Right. So why don't you lay out
I don't
for people
think we had
what jobs those
more
8
than
people
8 people. Well, I shot and directed.
Right.
And then we had a sound recordist. We had what I would say would be a grip, gaffer, general PA person. We didn't have a lot of gear, so we didn't really need a lot of support.
PA stands for?
Production assistant.
There you go.
So the gaffer,
the gaffer would be a gaffer is someone in the electrical department, so they're dealing with lights, they're dealing with that kind of stuff, and a grip would be camera support.
Okay.
All right.
We had a principal. We had a few actors.
We had a few actors, yeah. We had a principal and 2 other actors that were in other scenes. But we never had a scene with more than 2 actors. And the first half of the film is basically just one person.
So it sounds like it should have cost a lot more than $500.
I don't know. To me, it sounds like something that. Well, it did cost more. I mean, it did cost more than $500.
Because all of our time we
because
deferred.
everyone's time gets donated for the most part, and I own the camera, and I have an edit suite, so I'm not. I've paid for that stuff, but I'm not paying an hourly rate to edit something.
Right.
And I think that's maybe that's the biggest difference in the last 10, 15 years is most of the equipment associated with filmmaking at that level isn't prohibitively expensive. So you can shoot a film on a DSLR like we did, and you can shoot and you can edit on your laptop if you really want. So, I mean, a film isn't at its most barest building block. Most core building block is sound and picture and sequencing. So if you can edit and shoot and record audio, you're making a movie. You don't even need to have actors. I shot a whole film. We shot a short documentary last year that is all about native Manitoba plants. 75% of the film doesn't even have any people in it. It's just beautiful shots of plants growing and
shifting in the wind.
And shifting and growing in weird ways and that kind of thing. And there are people in it, but it's not.
It sounds nice.
It was. It was the most. It was the best project I could have worked on at that point. It was very, very peaceful.
It's a jungle in here.
Everyone who thinks about movies, whether they want to write them or whether they want to direct them or whether they just want to be the grip, they always think about some giant production, like $50-100 million production. That's the image you have because it's the image that's presented by Hollywood when they show a film in production.
Yeah.
But that is not, I think, typical.
So how does that journey? If I'm starting out, I want to make films, and I get like a a decent digital camera, and I've got an editing suite on my Mac, and I've got a couple of friends, and we start making films. What's that ideal journey like from there to having a crew and doing something with a modest budget and getting in, like, you know, attracting the attention of bigger fish?
Well, I can't really answer that.
No.
Because we haven't attracted the attention of bigger fish.
Well, that's not entirely true, though.
Well, it is at the moment. In the moment that we sit right now.
See, Mike is, he has this weird superstition that we shouldn't talk about good things that could be about to happen because we'll ruin it.
We're not going to talk about anything that might be
I
about
have a
to
different superstition.
Well, like, the reason I ask is because, like, how you and I have approached comics is, you know, DC and Marvel, it's hard to start with them. So we're going to make our own things and keep doing that and keep selling them and keep getting better until we attract their attention.
I had someone ask me, I was doing a photo shoot maybe 2-3 weeks ago now. And one of the models who was there, she asked me, obviously she has a younger brother or a nephew or something that is interested in filmmaking. She asked me, what would you tell someone, a young person who wanted to have a career in filmmaking, what they should do? And I said to her, there is no career as a filmmaker. That's not a thing that you should pursue. That if you want to make films and you want to make movies.
Excuse me, sir. Here's my fragile dream. I'm holding it out to you in my hands.
If your dream is to have a career as a filmmaker, you should reorient, because you should make films because you want to make films. You should make films because you have a desire to tell stories in that way.
So hold on. So this is actually, when you boil it down, the same advice that we get and that we give when it comes to comics or books, right? Do you make them in your spare time? Do you spend all of your waking hours working on them? If so, you might be able to sell a few and make a living.
Yeah.
Same with films, right? Do you work on them all the time, eat, sleep, drink them?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And then the second thing I would say is that I would quote Mick Garris, who's a filmmaker, who is a horror filmmaker and did the Masters of Horror series, plus he's made a lot of great horror films. And he has a great podcast, and I was listening to it the other day, and he said this great thing. He said, you can tell the difference between a filmmaker that makes films because they watch a lot of films, and a filmmaker that makes films and is, what does he say? There's obviously a difference between a filmmaker that makes films having watched a lot of films and a filmmaker that makes films having watched a lot of life.
Oh, nice.
And I'm paraphrasing, but because I'm sure I screwed that up, but that's the gist of it. There's a difference between imitating and transmuting, to take a word from Mr. Kamichik.
So you just need to have a palette that you work from. So
you need to develop
case,
taste.
It's technology.
The most important thing is to develop a strong sense of taste.
How do you do that?
By engaging in film as a conversation and being an active audience member.
So just to make an operational definition here, when you say taste, you mean that you clearly separate within a group of works which ones you like and dislike.
Which ones you like and dislike, and not just which ones you like and dislike, but on even a deeper level, which ones speak to you, how do they speak to you, and why do they speak to you?
So emotional resonance?
Emotional resonance. It's a lot of self-psychoanalysis to a large extent, too. Why is that piece resonating with me? And I think then having, you need to have discussions with other people about those differences and kind of put yourself up against some feedback and pushback and see where you stand.
I think deep down when people watch horror movies, one of the best conversations afterwards is always in the dissonance between one person that said, oh, that part scared me, and one person that says, no, it didn't.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't scare me at all. And then you have to ask yourself, I think that's the viewer, right?
Yeah.
Why did that scare me?
Yeah.
And the other viewer is like, well, why didn't it? Like there's something in you that's different.
Yeah.
So that's the taste you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the taste. And but not only that, just like you have certain sensibilities, and I think you said once style comes out of the mistakes that you make over and over and over again. Yeah, that's what that's it's related to that. It's related to that, and I think that it's the mistake a lot of maybe young filmmakers might make is thinking that a certain style or a certain way of doing things is the way to do things. Right. When in fact the person or people that piece came out of are only doing things the way they know how.
Right.
And so you need to figure out how it is that you know how to make things.
Okay, so you have a question there.
No, it's just, this is really making me think of I was recently at an anime convention, and a lot of anime artists draw like they were all trained at the exact same place, when I know they weren't. They're all from different cities and they come from different backgrounds, but they all draw in a similar style, and some of them are so close it's hard to tell. Like, it's hard to tell the difference at a glance. Sure. And it's kind of that same thing. I'm wondering, like, if they just kind of, early on, they found a style they liked and they never veered away from that. They just kind of strive towards that. And so many of them are doing the same things that it almost...
Because imitative rather than creative.
Yeah.
Is that interesting. Okay, so the interest in full disclosure to our dear listener, how long ago would that have been? A couple of years back, on midnight of the 13th of every month, I would get a whole bunch of people together, and a whole bunch, like 2 or 3. And we would, right before midnight, we'd try to finish at midnight. So around 11 o'clock.
I think we gave ourselves an hour.
Yeah, and we would spend an hour, and we would try to come up with a complete film treatment in 1 hour. And we did it once a month. I did it for 13 months. Sometimes I did it by myself. Sometimes I did it with other people. But I made 13 different treatments, one a month on the 13th before midnight every time. Why? Because it sounded fun.
How many of those became graphic novels?
Well, one of the things I did on my own became a seed for Midnight City, for sure. One of them has become the seed for this short film that we're going to shoot this weekend.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Shooting it this weekend.
This weekend. Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday. Yeah, it's part of the 48-hour film fest, so we're going to attempt to do that again, but we'll see.
What weather? Is that going to affect you guys?
Well, I'm hoping.
Yes.
Yes. Weather is. See, the challenge that Gregory and I have set is that the whole story basically takes place within, like, I would say, 20 minutes, half an hour at most.
Like, it's a short film, so it'll be maybe 6 or maybe 10 minutes on the outside, but the events take place between the time basically someone calls 911 and people arrive as a result.
Yeah, a little bit before and a little bit after, but yeah.
So we set up this notion that, it's like what everyone's angry at in a horror movie is that no one ever calls the police when they should, and no one ever does
my phone won't work.
First aid.
I'm not getting any service.
Yeah, so we're just avoiding all of that. The phones work. There is service. They call the police. They call an ambulance. They do everything that they should.
It doesn't matter.
But to no avail, they're doomed.
But to answer your question, Justin, yes, the weather will affect us totally, but I'm hoping for overcast skies Friday, Saturday, and as far into
lighting
Sunday
or just gloomy?
To even the lighting out. So then it makes it easier for me to cheat certain parts of the day as other parts of the day because there's not direct sunlight. So if we can do that, it frees us up to shoot and get more done in over a day. Otherwise, we really only have about 2. If we don't get that weather, we only really have 2 hours each evening in which we can shoot.
Look, the sun. When it is gone, they leave their coffins. Come, we must go indoors.
So, for the benefit of our listener, let's, if you don't mind, some of these obviously I know the answer to. I know the answer to, so you'll look at me incredulously while you're asking this, but I think it's important.
I think that's the general look on my face most times.
What do we need to shoot? What are we organizing? Who are we bringing? What are the, we've just put this list together of the stuff that we need. I think this is good for other people.
Logistics?
We have a camera.
Yeah.
And we have...
Can you tell us about that? Be specific.
Oh, well, I just got a Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro. I've named her Isabella.
Okay, so
I just named her yesterday. And it's a Super 35 mil size sensor. It's an EF mount, so I can use Canon lenses on it for now. So it's pretty accessible.
So there's physical film that goes with this?
No, it's
Or
just the
digital?
size of the sensor.
Okay, gotcha.
It's fairly, it's a great little camera.
How much does it weigh?
All kitted up, it's somewhere, I haven't weighed it yet. It's somewhere between 6 and 8 pounds, I think, with everything on it.
So it's a little run and gunner.
Yeah, a lot of
Right.
people would complain that it's too heavy.
Right.
And I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, we're so spoiled now. We have these tiny little, like the Sony A7 and this Canon 5D, which I've shot a lot on, and they're just these tiny little cameras, relatively speaking, and then everyone complains when something weighs 5-6 pounds, and when what they're not thinking about is that it's that weight that weight translates into the image. The heavier camera is easier to hold steady.
Right.
Right? A lighter camera absorbs every...
You can feel your heartbeat in it.
It doesn't absorb any bounce. Everything shakes constantly.
Right.
Yeah, you feel your heartbeat in it. Everything just translates right into the
So
camera.
for some cameras, do you intentionally weigh them?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I shoot on my 5D, I usually put a cage around it and weigh it, put as much on the camera as I can to just give it a bit more weight, because I find it's easier to hand operate that way if it's got a little bit of weight in it.
Cool.
So I'll translate it into not only gear, but a skilled camera operator.
You need a skilled camera operator, or you have to be okay with
the results you get.
the results you get. You just got to be at peace with that.
Yeah.
And we'll have a decent mic. We'll have
It's like an on-set mic.
yeah, we're gonna use a 416, a Sennheiser 416, which is a pretty common condenser microphone.
So is that one of the, like, on a pole,
It'll be
sticking
on
like
a boom
over
pole.
the actors?
Yeah, we'll have it on a boom. We won't necessarily have to hang it out over the actors most of the time, but we could if we needed to. Yeah. It's got a dead cat on it. It's what I like to call the fuzzy thing that hangs that's on the mic that cuts the wind noise down. And it'll be in a cage, so the cage helps cut some of the wind noise and
Gotcha.
usually the low end a little bit too.
How often in editing does that sneak into shots when it's above the actors? Not like the number one spoof everybody always finds in films. It's like, oh, you can see the boom in this. Like
I was at a university film rough cut, like it was an advanced screening of what was the Tarantino Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh yeah.
And all the edits still had the boom mics. Like you could see the boom mics drooping in constantly.
wasn't cropped,
It hadn't been cropped. It was like a really rough cut that they took to universities. And
Oh, really?
part of the, I think the kind of the joy of it was you saw this only partially assembled film, and they would get people's feedback that way. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Amazing
Well,
film.
Tarantino is famous for I wouldn't say famous. He claims to have never done any dialogue replacement on any film. And so
No ADR.
No ADR. So he prioritizes setups. He allows the sound guy to have as much priority as he can possibly allow so that he gets good sound recording on set.
It must make it just easier to edit, though, then. Because you have everything.
I don't know that it necessarily... It's not about making it easier. Every decision you make in production on film, the way I look at it, is the decisions are based on a desire for consistency.
Okay.
So I would want to have all my sound recorded on set because it would sound consistent.
Right.
If you're shooting an indie film, you should try to be getting as much, like all of your sound on set, because you can't afford good ADR.
Right.
And so when you get to the point where you're going to have to replace that line of dialogue in post, yeah, ADR is a thing, and it's a technique used in film.
You have to bring the actors back to then
You got to bring
put
the
them
actors
in
back.
a booth.
You've
and-
got to put them in. Yeah, in an ideal world, you're working with a professional sound engineer who has a variety of microphones that they can place in front of your actor to match as close as possible the sound that you got on set. Not only the sound of the microphone, the sound of the room, and.
So really, if
and
you're an indie filmmaker, you don't have access to this
you
stuff.
don't have
so
access
get
to
as much
that.
as
You're
you
going to
can.
fall short on so many aspects of that process that when you put that line of dialogue in your film after, it is going to very obviously stand out. If the goal is for that line of dialogue or to blend in with the other lines of dialogue in the scene, you can hear ADR in a $100 million Hollywood film.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, that's a bit of a holdover from back in the day when film cameras were exceptionally loud and sets were exceptionally loud, and it just wasn't feasible to get usable sound on a set.
So back in the day, they would film the entire movie and then record.
All the sound would be put in after, for the most part. Yeah.
Yeah, even the sound effects, all the Foley.
Oh, sure, all the Foley, and that's still how it's done. You still build up the soundtrack, right?
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a camera. We've got a camera operator.
We have a
We've
camera.
got a sound
we have
person.
a camera operator. We have a sound person. We also are going to have an assistant director.
Yeah.
Whose job will be to be the keeper of the clock.
Dun, dun, dun.
So she will keep me in the know of how much time we're burning and how much time we have left and what we estimated this sequence of shots was going to take and how close we are to blowing through that or coming in under.
No, I worked with Mel before on Don't Waste a Precious Minute.
Yes.
And that was like apocryphal
Do you
because
remember
her job and the film title and her job were very close. Don't waste a precious minute.
Yes. And do you remember what our first day was like?
Mostly I remember her yelling at me a lot.
Yeah, so I think our first day...
But like in a good way, like...
The first half of our first day, we were probably 2 hours behind by the end of our second hour.
And we knew it.
And we knew it. Mel was letting it work. Guys, we are like 2 hours behind. I'm like, Mel, it's okay. It's okay. We're just finding our groove. We're finding the groove. And then we found the groove, and then we finished on time.
Yeah.
So somewhere in the remainder of that day, we made up 2 hours. And even on this one...
But I know where we made up 2 hours. We made up 2 hours because every time you would say, okay, I think we got it, Mel would look at the sheet, she would look at the clock and say, actually, we have 6 minutes here if you want to try it again.
Yeah.
Right? And then we were making informed decisions on whether or not we should.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where, it was one thing to find the groove, but I think we made up all the time because she reminded us where those increments were all the way along. So a good assistant director you need.
Yeah, you need a good assistant director.
Okay. Now what else are we going to have?
Well, I would appreciate having a good camera assistant, but I'm not sure that we're going to have that luxury on this film. Just simply because of the location we're shooting and the budget we're working within, it's hard to add another person, and I can basically manage the rig. But someone may have to be there just to make sure lenses are available to me and that kind of thing. That's going to be a bit of a challenge.
Quick project like this, music and soundtrack kind of stuff. What do you guys do for that typically?
Well, you can answer.
For this project, we're going to hire a young guy to do some sound design and compose for us.
Nice.
Keynote, dear listeners, the same fellow who made our wonderful intro, Jesse Hamel, is going to be doing
so
sound
Jesse's
going to
work on this.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what we do.
And he's going to be in BC.
He's going to be in BC, so I've given him some direction as to how I think some of the sounds should sound, and
I spent all day crawling out of a grave. The director said I was incapable of reaching the emotional core of the character.
Through some miracle, are able to actually deliver on the Sunday. That won't be the end of this film. We will go back and probably re-edit and redo sound and redo music and do a proper grade.
You guys have been talking about that with the one from last year as
time.
well.
Yeah,
you wanted to
submit it to the 48, but then we're also building it up as a concept piece, like as a way to show other people when they say, "What is the concept behind this pitch?" We can say, "Well, here's one way you could take it and show them a short film."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So and then we have makeup. We have a makeup artist. That's pretty essential. I'd like to have a wardrobe person, but I don't think we're going to be able to swing that. But the requirements are so it's nothing that complicated. It's
Makeup,
two folks
like
at the lake.
monster stuff, or just making you camera ready?
Camera
Camera
ready
ready.
for the actors,
Yeah.
but also there is a monster creature in our short
there
film,
is.
sort of.
And Kitty Burns made a great wig for us too.
Yeah, Kitty Burns made a great wig.
If it can slime properly, you will be able to use it.
Yeah, and so there will be some makeup on our creature, quote unquote. There will be a bit of makeup on that individual, and there's a little bit of special effects stuff. There's going to be some blood,
some
and some
weird
slime,
jellyfish gelatin,
some
with
jellyfish
fish
gelatin.
scales.
Yeah.
What else? I think as far as effects go, that's it. Okay, so
So crew wise,
Yeah.
AD, and then
location.
we have a location. Well, and we'll have a PA. Like you'll be a second set eyes for me as an art director, plus a general PA, and may have to fill in here and there in a few other roles.
Well, and that's
Have
the
you
thing.
scouted locations already? Or you know?
Yeah, we
exact-
went.
Yeah.
We scouted locations. We're going out to a remote beach to shoot part of it, and then to a cabin as well. We
Yep.
figured all that stuff out. And what was I going to say though is that everybody will be doing.
Everyone's doing
5
multiple
jobs.
jobs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's not an ideal way to work.
When you
but-
do a short film, when you work indie, it's the joke that you make that you're your own intern, right? Everyone, you take out the trash, you make the food, and you shoot the film. Everyone does the same job. There is for another podcast, because you're superstitious, we'll tell you about another film project that we have in the pipeline.
It's not even in the bloody pipeline.
brewing.
Brewing?
It's brewing.
What would you say? How would you like to categorize it in your timid
It's
way?
not a film.
It's not a film
words
yet?
on a page right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So
It's
The
not
cat
even.
is not dead or
It's
alive
not even
yet.
core.
It's
just in the
Schrodinger's
early,
script.
It's just in the early stages of courting.
So is it a face hugger, or is it still in the egg?
It's still in the egg on a planet we haven't reached yet. We are aware that it's there, and we're on our way to find it. But yeah,
I love that. Okay,
it's right now. It's an SOS signal.
it's an SOS signal.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
well, nice. Okay, we have to get the other dropship from the Sulaco. Okay, so
And then we have food.
And we have
so
food.
it's and
I
that's
was gonna
very
get there.
important. And
I think
there's-
Very
honestly the
important,
most
yeah.
important.
yeah,
Without
and
hyperbole.
sure, I spent an hour on the phone last night with Jacqueline.
Yeah.
Figuring out. She kept telling me that the budget was too low. You've got 20 people. You can't. What are you going to live on bread all weekend?
Okay, so let's talk budget. Can we talk numbers with you a little bit?
Sure, yeah.
And
We
we'll
can
be a
talk
little
numbers
transparent for the dear listener that the full disclosure here is that because Mike has access to camera rigs and editing suites.
Yeah, but
and
that's not. Most people have access to those things.
to those things.
Yeah, I would say that you don't.
So all
need
the
to
gear
shoot
that you
on a-
have, everybody has.
No,
that's not true.
but everyone I mean, you can get a. I don't know what a 60D costs. But you can get a decent Canon for under $1,000 or around $1,000.
Right, okay.
You can get a camera that can shoot video.
Most
And
people
if-
seem to have one these days.
Yeah, and you can shoot a short film on your phone.
right.
There's
Should
nothing,
you?
There's no reason why you shouldn't.
Is there some kind of like commonly used, like taking an iPhone and there's a lens adapter to
stabilizer
make
or
it a
Oh
little?
yeah. When we shot that flower documentary, I was up until about 2 weeks before we started shooting. I was looking at shooting it on my phone, and I had priced out the cost of a iPhone i7s or whatever the dual pixel Mo 8 or whatever the hell it was.
And it fits into that stabilizer rig.
And
right?
I priced out a stabilizer rig. I priced out anamorphic lenses that you can put on it. I priced out close-up and macro adapters. I priced out all sorts of stuff because I wanted to shoot. I thought if I could do that, I would shoot it handheld. A lot of the flower stuff I'd shoot at 120 frames a second, handheld, do macro stuff and that kind of thing. And then ended up going with we shot it on a Canon 5D, but I shot on a what's it called, stabilizer rig.
Can I ask you a how the sausage is made question?
Sure.
So you said 120 frames per second.
Yeah.
For the lay person who doesn't know anything about that, can you lay out what the heck the difference of frame rate in camera?
Well, normally you'd shoot at 24 frames a second.
Right.
So this would be 5 times that speed.
Okay, so why would you do that?
Why would you do that? Because my thinking was I didn't want... I wanted to try to add some motion into some of the macro photography, which is a very, very difficult thing to do because you're very, very close. You have a very, very shallow depth of field, which means that maybe only a centimeter or less of that flower may be in focus. And so what I figured is that because of the lenses on your phone, regardless of what the marketing tells you, there is a huge difference between your phone and a real camera.
Right.
And that difference is the lens. So the lens on your phone is a wide-angle lens with a very, where the aperture basically means that for the most part, you're looking at an image that has deep focus. It has an infinity focus. So everything's in focus from the front to the back. And then they've started introducing these dual lens phones that have, create the look of a shallow depth of field, so the subject is in focus and the background is out of focus. So why do you shoot 120 frames? Because it's slow motion. It looks cool, and it means that any camera shake or whatnot gets sort of disguised because we're moving slower through the space. But in the end,
that aforementioned heartbeat problem.
Yeah, so it was a bit more hopeful. It was the hopeful cinematographer in me thinking that would work for me.
Right.
And then the more I just started looking at it, I was like, it was actually the gear that I was going to have to get to outfit my 5D to do the film, and the gear the amount I was going to have to spend on the phone rig were so close that it didn't make sense.
Better the devil you knew than the devil you didn't.
Yeah. And so, we did some slow motion stuff, but we didn't do that much of it. I don't even think I did any, to be honest, now that I think about it. I'm not, at the time that we shot that, everything I saw being shot, there's this real dearth of overcranked, slow motion stuff in commercials and in a lot of like indie, as soon as everyone can shoot 60 frames a second and 120 frames a second, everybody shoots 60 frames a second and 120 frames a second because it's a shortcut to getting a really cool look. Oh, that looks so cool. Right. Oh, look how cool that looks. How cool that feels. And it's,
You don't want to look cool?
I do. I just think that I'm also a bit of a contrarian. So as soon as I see everybody doing it that way, I'm like, okay, we're going to shoot this entire thing and we're not going to shoot a single frame of it in slow motion. And
so where is that? Where does that come from in you? Why do you want to?
Well, Greg, why aren't you printing on metal right now? Why don't you have holographic prints?
I know lots of people do that. Maybe I will. Justin.
Where does that come from?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a ginger.
Right. So
enough said. Okay, moving on.
We're just going to chalk it up to your genetic
Yeah, and other gingers listening to this know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah?
Gingers are beautiful. We are kissed by fire.
We have the crew. We've got some actors. How did we get these actors?
Enough food.
We've got
enough food and enough other general people around to help support. To be perfectly honest, for the type of film we are attempting to do on the weekend, we're probably 3 people short on the main crew.
Okay.
It would be nice to have a camera assistant. It would be nice to have someone on hair and wardrobe. So that's another 3 people maybe. And then it would be nice to have, So I feel like we're about 3 people short, 4 people short maybe. But we're going to make it happen.
We're going to make it happen anyway. Now, you don't know exactly what's going to happen. The weather is questionable. The crew is questionable.
The crew's not questionable.
No? We're good?
The crew we have is rock solid. I'm not worried about the crew.
But we had a recent, we got notified that one of the people on the crew had a death in the family, so we have to be flexible for that.
Yes.
We have to be flexible for when the actors are available.
Yes.
And so a bunch of the stuff that we're trying to accomplish, we don't 100% know we can accomplish. Should we just cancel? Should we just quit? Should we stop?
I thought about it yesterday.
Right? But why aren't we?
I gave it considerable thought to just maybe we just pull the plug.
But why aren't we
maybe
going to?
we actually can't do it. Yeah. Why are we not?
Yeah, why are we going to do it anyway?
Because I'm a contrarian. So as soon as I had that thought, the other half of my brain went, hold on a second.
We'll do it anyway. But do you have to know what it's going to be before you start?
No, you don't.
You just have to
Absolutely
start.
not. If you knew what it was going to be before you started, what would be the fun of doing it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you. But I thought you need a plan.
So I texted you. Well, you need a plan. Okay, so it's like you have to have an idea in your head, but you have to hold that idea in your head like a dream. So it's fluid. So even as you're having the dream, it's hard to hold on to. And when you wake up, it will still change. Yeah. That's how you have to hold the idea of whatever it is you're doing in your head. Because it has to be flexible enough that when you get there and you start doing it and something happens that you didn't plan for, or something happens that changes the context of what you're doing, you have to be flexible enough to absorb that change. If you're too rigid in your thinking, it breaks you. You have to be a skyscraper in the wind.
Whoa.
Your
Not
books
too rigid or it falls over.
Not too rigid or it just falls over. Flexible enough that it can
Right.
it can sway a little bit. Yeah.
Your books didn't show up before the Comic-Con.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah. You just had to be. Yeah, we traveled all the way to a foreign country, to a city we didn't know, or I didn't know very well, and
Half
all
your
the
stock
all
didn't
the
show
stuff
up.
that I needed didn't show up. And so you can either freak out and be like, oh my God, I should just stay in my hotel room, or say, what can you make from what is present and what opportunities are available as a result?
Yeah, and I think the overriding thing that I've learned especially in making shorts, well, in doing in the docs and anything, is that there will always be stuff that you find in the edit that you never even realized you shot.
Oh, cool.
And that stuff, when you're in there
man,
and you're seeing shots, like don't waste a precious minute.
I was just going to bring up that
is
shot.
a perfect example.
Yeah.
Because it is basically takes place over,
Okay, I'll give the dear
There's
listeners
three
some context.
sequences.
So it's a film about two people who wake up. Well, they don't wake up. They've been there a long time, but we arrive on them as they're being fed. They're kept in a container of some sort.
A sea can.
A sea can. They have been there for a long time. They have clearly been mistreated. It's a moment that they can escape. Arrives, and they make a break for it, and they find out that they have been placed in a remote location so that people can hunt them, basically. And they've been let out.
Yes, and then they get let out.
Yeah.
And so you have in the script,
the real feel-good family film.
Yeah.
you have in the script what was written as basically 4 sequences. Yeah. So the first 3 sequences taking place in the container, being different days in which they wake, and then so the door opens, they're fed, something comes in and feeds them, the door closes. That happened 3 times in the script, and then on the 4th time or on the 3rd time, the door gets left open, and then they realize the cage has been left open, and one of them leaves.
Yeah, only for
and
one
from
of them.
that point forward, the film basically happens in real time. When we got into the edit, it was apparent that we needed some connective tissue between the door opening, door closing, and the next time that the door opened. It just didn't feel right to go day to day to day. And so it felt like it was happening, like it was 3 days in a row. And we felt we needed some sort of sequence in between those that added to the atmosphere of the film, sort of started to illuminate the psychology of the characters.
The key thing here, though, is that we didn't have any of that. We didn't plan any of those shots.
Didn't plan any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening is we started cutting dream sequences that you're not sure what character is actually having the dream. If you pay attention, you can figure out who it is. And those dream sequences were cut from shots that we had shot. Either we had shot and they were from bits of takes that we didn't use.
Like my favorite one that we used, I think, is the actress was between takes and the camera was just rolling, and she had turned her face up towards the sun and was just like smiling and just feeling that sunbeam. And, you know, she's all covered in grime and grit and her costume. And, you know, it's a horrible scene that we're shooting. But in the middle of it, between takes, she's just like, look, the sun is shining and my day is great.
I was just rolling on it.
Yeah. And we ended up editing that.
Yeah, that went in as a shot. There was a lot of little pieces like that we reused and refashioned and did a few editing tricks to remove it from the immediate context of how it was shot, and that made that film. Then the other one that was there's a chase scene in the end where she's running through the woods and she's chasing after someone, and I hate shooting chase stuff. It's the hardest thing to shoot, to get continuity of camera geography and like, did she come in the right side and exit the left? What did we do on that last shot?
Oh, I thought you meant practically because you were running backwards and I was spotting you.
I don't mind that part, but it's the figuring it out in your brain how to make it, how to keep the continuity going. It's a fun challenge, but I find it the most difficult part. And so we needed a shot. Like, it wasn't cutting together. And Mark and I, Mark Green, who directed it and wrote it, we were sitting in the edit suite and we were just going through footage. And then suddenly here was this medium head and shoulder shot of her walking that I had no memory of shooting, which is odd because I basically remember every frame of every shot as it goes down to camera, and I didn't even remember we shot
Here,
it.
though, is evidence to the contrary.
Well, I don't know. I believe the film made that. Like, I think that shot got
generated by the mind of the film itself.
The film knew it needed it, so it created it out of the remnants of other things, because it was the exact shot we needed, and we were just laughing because neither of us remembered ever shooting it. And to this, I don't think it was actually a shot I think it was
the camera was rolling?
No, I think I shot it as a test. I think I was just
test?
shooting it as a light test and shooting it as a, can I get this shot here walking backwards test? And we did that one shot, and it's just within frames of being just enough that we could use it. And then we probably got into a discussion of how to stage and block when she arrived, and completely forgot. We were in such a rush, completely forgot that we needed to do that shot, and just moved on and never actually did multiple takes of that shot.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
So you've been on set a lot for a lot of different things in a lot of different roles. I'm going to ask you a question that I think everyone should contemplate the answer to. You don't have to have the best answer ever, but it's definitely a question people should think about. Who's in charge on set, and how do you keep morale together around that person? Because I've been with you in a number of scenarios where it's gone different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we won't talk about those particular instances.
Yeah.
But we know that it can go the wrong way. So how do you...
Well, I think the first thing to acknowledge and I think that you just have to accept is that a set is not a democracy. In its best form, a set is a benevolent dictatorship. And that is a function of just the complexity of what the task is. There's only one tip to the spear. And so you need to... in a worst case scenario, it's a totalitarian state with a tyrant at the helm, and it's worse. and like dead serious.
Yeah, and it's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah.
And morale is through the floor, and no one really wants to be there, but you're there anyways, and you maybe don't know why.
Waterworld.
Yeah. Waterworld. Yeah.
Neither of us worked on Waterworld.
No one here worked on Waterworld. A film that I enjoy.
Oh, you like that movie?
I like that movie.
Yeah.
I like anything with Dennis
If that was
Hopper
made
in it.
today, they would already have announced 2 sequels.
Dear listener, if you haven't, look into the backstory of the filming of Waterworld. It's a very interesting read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's in charge?
Who's in charge?
I think there's 2 answers to that.
Give them to us both.
I think one is that the film is in charge. And that the representative for the film, because the film can't actually communicate using words and language to those that are in charge of bringing it into reality, that the director is
the representative of the
film or of the story, but the story is in charge.
You're like the
ultimately
clergy.
The film is in charge.
You have the word of the film.
Absolutely, yeah. You're the direct path.
You're
the
the
keeper
writer
of the story, as
the
I've heard
writer of
smarter
the
people
script, the writer of the original story, often
not
on location?
set. It depends.
If they were, do you think it'd be headbutting nonstop?
So now this is anecdotal. This is not from my experience, but this is anecdotally my answer, so you can correct it. That usually when a writer is invited to set and like expected to be present, it's usually in dramas or dialogue heavy scenes where they have a moving target for what the end of the film will be. And so they need to, apparently there's some stuff about the Nolan Batmans where there was rewrites sort of within a half hour, everyone would call, and they'd rewrite some scenes and they'd do it because they were figuring out in the edit what might be useful for someone to have said. So you bring the writer in for that. But generally speaking, once the writer has given the story, they've done their job.
Film is not a written medium.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of getting at. Is like the writer, the vision in their head is very, very different than what's going to be actually filmed.
Yeah.
And how often does that make waves?
Oh, I'm sure it makes waves all the time.
Yeah, which is why you have to sign an agreement and you hand in the script.
Or which is why you see a lot of writer-directors.
Yeah.
Or even to a certain degree, why larger studio projects go through teams of writers to strip out the individual voice.
Makes it easier, right?
Yeah, right.
Does it make it better?
I think in some cases it does.
Cases it does.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think there's anything in filmmaking that is a hard and fast yes or no.
Yeah, there's no one way to do it because it's a creative
it.
endeavor that involves sometimes dozens, sometimes hundreds of people. So to suggest that you have the perfect way to do it, if you could have a perfect way to orchestrate dozens or hundreds of people, then we wouldn't have sporting events.
Well,
right? Because you'd have a way to organize it to always win. But there isn't. There's always that element of chance.
Yes, there's always that element of chance, and it's a fluid, evolving, living process. So it's changing frame to frame, it's changing take to take, and it's changing day to day. And then even when it gets into the edit, it's different. It's always changing. Yeah.
Okay, well, this has been Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made. We are going to keep you apprised of our short film project. Do you want to tell them what it's called?
Love Song.
Love Song. Tune in soon for more information. Thank you, Justin, for being a long-suffering co-host. Have fun in Paris next week. Thank you for coming, Mike.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Join the fight and make comics.